Coming up on CHGO Cubs, presented by Toyota and Bet365, the first place Chicago Cubs are an emotional roller coaster. Stay with us. Brace yourselves. Reality spray on hold because Ben Zobrist is going to join the show live. CHGO Cubs next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast, driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. Happy off day. It is Monday, April 21st. The Cubs are sitting in first place. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo with you. Sarah busy running the ones and twos for us behind the scenes. And we have a special show, second half hour. Friend of the show, World Series MVP, Ben Zobrist will join us.
The man, the myth, the legend, World Series MVP. Let's go.
And
second time he decided to come back. Good for him.
He's back. And we got hats to thank him for.
Yes.
And by the way, not only are the Cubs in first place, we have a huge event coming up. So I don't want to forget that. So I want to hit it right off the top of the show. You have an opportunity to be part of the Sickos and Diehards. Not just, saying you're part of it, showing us you're part of it. May 3rd, the Cubs play the Brewers in Milwaukee. It's a night game, a Saturday night game in Milwaukee. We're going to drive up there. We're going to stay at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel, but we're going to do a pregame show and a postgame show live from the casino there. And we have a special deal. There's ways you can add on to it. The first one is what, $50?
Yes.
$50. You come in, you see the live show. There's a lunch buffet. There's you get $100 in casino play, and you watch the show and you hang out. Then you can add on a ticket if you want to sit with us at the Cubs Brewer game in the 200 level, no escalators. And then you can also add on a hotel stay if you want to, if you're coming up we got fans. Cubs fans are all over the place. So some in Milwaukee might not do the hotel stay, but they might want to do the ticket.
Yeah.
Right. It's incredible. It's a really good, the baseline one of $50 is unbelievable, but the way the Cubs are playing right now and a series against the Brewers, don't miss out.
Yeah. I mean, this is one of my favorite events that we have promoted in our 3.5 years of existence. And I'm really excited to go up. We went to Milwaukee last year. We rode a bus and all this, and all of it was awesome until Greg Braggs and many other people fell off escalators. So we're going to stay as far away.
Sarah included, actually.
Sarah included. And we're going to stay as far away from escalators at Wrigley North for sure. But the
I will be taking the stairs.
The pregame party, and we'll be in the 200 section at the game, and then we'll have post game, and then you can be a degenerate with me and be in the casino all night afterwards.
Well, if I have a free $100,
we're gonna have a time. We're gonna find a way to make Milwaukee fun, which I actually like Milwaukee. I don't like teams in Wisconsin, but Milwaukee's a nice city.
Yeah,
it's not Chicago.
They
but
have a sports book too.
Nice. Yes. So Kevin on the show yesterday said, you can go up and place a future if you want, and give you another reason to go to Milwaukee later in the year, I guess. Or you can just bet on something going on during the day. You can bet on the Cubs beating the Brewers on that day if you want, right?
Yeah.
Come and collect your money after they win, right? So I think in terms of community, in terms of how much it costs and everything that comes included, I think it's awesome. One of our diehards, I was talking to him in the voice chat the other day. He actually lives like 15 minutes from the casino.
Right.
And so I told him, I was like, dude, you could come to the game and come to the pregame party and everything. You don't have to stay at the casino if you want, if you live 15 minutes away.
Right. And
so it's like, it works out for a lot of people who live in Milwaukee or in Wisconsin. You know what I mean? So
even if you live in Milwaukee, if you spend $50 for the baseline package, you're still getting the $100 in casino play and the lunch buffet and watching the show. So
yeah.
like, that's a win-win right there.
I think it's our best event that we've ever promoted.
CHGO's never done anything this far.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the draft party coming up this week.
Yeah, the draft parties. Last year's draft party was awesome, but yeah.
Hey, we want to remind everybody to subscribe to the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel.
Yes.
Trying to build the audience. We've got fresh content that comes in there every day.
We're about 200 away from 2,500.
Almost 2,500. Yeah. I don't know. We've been on there like, a couple weeks now.
Yeah.
It's been fun, but our show's no longer on the CHGO Sports page, only on so if you're listening to this in podcast form and you're like, well, I don't see the shows on YouTube anymore. You have to go to the CHGO Cubs YouTube page, and that's where you get in the live chat and join along. I will say we're excited to have Ben Zobrist come on, but vibes were at an all-time high, and my FOMO on Friday was also at an all-time high. I kept thinking to myself as the Cubs were coming back against the Diamondbacks, I kept thinking to myself, is somebody in charge of spraying Braggs and Cody? Like, who's got the reality spray? Because I feel like everybody in the audience, in the stands, everybody in the bleachers should have had one of these bottles just kind of cooling you guys down a little bit. Braggs was like he'd never had knee surgery. I watching him jumping up and down. He's bear hugging you, and you're losing your mind.
Yeah.
Some of those videos, by the way, I think are on the new YouTube channel.
Yes. And on just in social media. So if you don't follow us on Instagram or Twitter, obviously.
Greatest game you've ever watched in person?
I mean, it ranks up there in terms of just the roller coaster and the immaculate vibes after they won. I always like to point out that I was at the game right after like the season after the pandemic season, but like, you know how the beginning.
So 21?
Yeah. So 21 was the season where at the beginning they only let a certain amount of people in. And then I was at the very first full capacity game at Wrigley, and we all know how the pandemic went and, you know, all of that, you know, the anxiety and all that, and just being back at Wrigley with a full house and it just feeling as normal as ever. I was at that game. The Cubs were down in that game early against the Cardinals, and they came back and won that game. Anthony Rizzo had that 14-pitch
home run, yes.
I know that season sucked, right? But that game was awesome. I always like to point that one out. I was at a game in September of 2015. Starlin Castro hit 2 homers. We know how the 15 season went, and being at the environment in September that year, that game always rings in my head for most memorable games, or one of my most loved games that I've been to. I only got to go to one game at Wrigley in 16. That was July 4th. They just pounded the Reds. I'm pretty sure they hit like 6 homers that day. I was just intoxicated the entire weekend, including that day. So that was just a memorable time. But
intoxicated with Cubs love.
Yes. And Sam Adams light. But I don't know if I'll ever experience a game like what we witnessed on Friday. Ever.
To give up 10 runs
in one inning.
And then bounce back and still win the game.
Right. I have continued to watch the Kyle Tucker homer over and over in bed the last 2 mornings. I woke up this morning and I'm like, I just want to watch it again. I'm not. This isn't a bit. This is like truth. I've just been watching the Kyle Tucker homer over and over. You're
eating your Cheerios and you're like, what am I going to watch? You know what? I'm going to watch the Kyle Tucker homer.
It was just so majestic. The moment, because Carson Kelly hit that homer. Yeah. You get Ian Happ gets on base, and then Kyle Tucker's coming up. He's already had a good day, and you're down 1 run, and in my anxiety is like, oh, that moment, that Carson Kelly moment's going to happen, but are they going to be able to get over the hump? And Kyle Tucker just hits an absolute nuke. It could have been blowing in, and that ball would have been out.
Yeah.
It was a line drive out of the park, and he hits it. The crowd erupts, and the way he watched the ball fly out, the bat flip, running around the bases, I lost my mind. It was one of the greatest regular season moments that I think I'll ever witness. I was bamboozled, led astray for a half inning, and then they said, "Hold my beer, my Sam Adams light," and said, we're winning this game. And it was an incredible atmosphere, an incredible moment to be a part of. Just a roller coaster of emotions in that game. So I think at the very least, no matter what happens the rest of the year with this team, like,
you had that moment.
That I will always have that moment, and I think fans will talk about that game for a really, really long time.
I believe Ben Zobrist was at that game as well, because I saw some pictures, so we're going to ask him about that later. Corey Seacrest with a Toyota chat here, brought to you by our friends at Toyota. 2 grand slams in the same game, too. Some days you just hope for a few home runs at least. Yeah, that's it, right? Like, to see grand slams, the comeback, Kyle Tucker, you dream of a long-term contract after he hits that, and you think, I hope he stores this memory away in his bank. Like, not just his actual bank, like in his memory bank. You know, he'll store the money in his real bank. This will be his memory bank.
Yeah, that was one of those moments. Like, if this team goes on, makes the playoffs, and has an incredible run, and you talk about the highlights of the 2025 season, Kyle Tucker hitting that homer, Ian Happ hitting the grand slam, Carson Kelly on his Linsanity run, and Seiya Suzuki with the insurance run with the homer after. It's just...
Yeah, Seiya's home run is basically forgotten because the other ones were so incredible. Yeah. I was looking up today leaders and in home runs, and it got me to thinking, like, is the Cubs offense really this good? Like, is this offense for real? I don't know if you and Kevin talked about it. I don't know if Carson Kelly's going to stay on this run all season. It doesn't seem like the back of the baseball card would allow that, but you never know. Right now, he's having an April like Patrick Wisdom had when he hit like 11 home runs in the month of April, right? He's been incredible.
23, yeah.
He's got 6, okay? Tucker, Suzuki, and Kelly, each with 6 home runs. I think 8 with Tatis is the league lead in the National League. Names that he's tied with for home runs. Carson Kelly now. He's tied with Tucker, Suzuki, Ohtani, Suarez, and one of the others, Matt Mervis, of course.
Yeah.
But it's just the roller coaster of names there is just so bizarre and out there. If you'd have said that Matt Mervis and Carson Kelly would be tied with Ohtani and Tucker in home runs sitting here on the 21st of April, you would have laughed at it. So I ask you, is the Cubs offense really this good? Obviously, they weren't Sunday, but ignore that game. It didn't happen.
I mean, listen, I think Sunday was just one of those days where, you know, the wind was blowing in. Merrill Kelly gave the Diamondbacks exactly what they needed, and he's pitched well against the Cubs. And the Cubs just didn't get the big hit that day. But they still were right there and had every chance to win it. All I know is that they haven't compiled a long list of games where you sit there and you feel like they should have won this game. Like, yeah, there's a few. Like that game in Arizona and one of those games against San Diego.
A couple that hurt.
But we went over it yesterday. At this point last year, the Cubs had already played in 8 one-run games. They have 4 this year. So they've already cut that in half at this point.
Halved it.
So, and the large reason is because they're scoring runs and they're actually winning by multiple runs. The Saturday game is actually, in many ways, you can argue the Saturday game describes just how good they can be. It was a snooze fest Saturday.
Yeah.
They scored a bunch of runs, and then the bullpen was actually awesome, and they won the series, and they won the season series, avenging that loss on that Sunday game in Arizona.
Right.
So I think we definitely need to see more, but at the same time, like, you're seeing some things from this offense that we didn't see last year, and I think that's encouraging, and overall, I'm just riding the wave.
Ride the wave. More on the Cubs coming up here in a second. We're going to talk about some Sandy Alcantara news, and we'll have Ben Zobrist coming up in just a bit. But first, Cody, a word from our sponsors.
Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. New customers now get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code CHGO365, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. They have the Bet365 early payout offer for MLB, I think NBA and NHL as well. And what it is if you're a winner, if your team goes up 5 runs ahead with an instant, you get an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use code CHGO365 when you sign up For instance, the Friday game, the Cubs were up 6-1 in that game.
You could have won your bet right
You
there.
would have won your bet immediately, and you wouldn't have had to go through the roller coaster of a potential incredibly bad beat, even though the Cubs won anyway.
A D-backs fan could have won the bet as well.
Yes. So that's kind of the point. You go up 5 runs, you automatically win. I had Red Sox. I've been fading the White Sox every single day for the last week. I had Red Sox -1.5 at 10 a.m. this morning. We cashed. So anyway, again, just new customers, when you use code CHGO365, you get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Win or lose. Sign up and use that code, deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER.
Just like your favorite team needs a home court or home field or home ice advantage, your home needs a home floor advantage, and Empire Today can help you get it. Empire Today has flooring experts, dedicated flooring professionals who focus on flooring every single day. We've all been to the big box store, wandering endlessly through the aisles, lost completely. The person helping you in flooring might have been selling sinks yesterday or toilets the day before that, maybe stocking light bulbs tomorrow. Empire Today lives and breathes flooring. They're going to help you out every step of the way. Their flooring experts bring the showroom right to your home, get precise measurements taken, all your questions answered. There's no surprises. And with Empire Today, you get clear, upfront, and all-inclusive pricing. Plus, you can schedule that installation as soon as the next day. Schedule a free in-home estimate today because some things are just better at home. CHGO listeners, wait for it, can receive a $350 discount when using the code CHGO. You heard me right. A $350 discount on your flooring with the code CHGO. Restrictions apply. Visit EmpireToday/CHGO for details.
Our friend has arrived early.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's waiting for us. We could go
ready to
now.
roll. You want to go?
Yeah, he's waiting for us.
Oh man, this is wonderful. All right, let's do it. Friend of the show, World Series MVP, founder of Champion Forward. Look at this hoodie. This man is a vibe. Playing, not playing, whenever you look at Ben Zobrist. Wow, how you doing? That is nice. And by the way, I saw something of Ben. They had a pickleball tournament, and he was wearing a tracksuit, and I thought, this guy, he's got it all. He's got it all. He had the tracksuit on.
Hey, man, I like to be loud sometimes, Sometimes it's fun. It's really fun. Hey, and I appreciate you guys sporting the Champion Forward hats. You look good in them. Looking great.
Thank you for sending them. I was only joking when I said send them last time, but now I'm glad I brought it up.
You took care of business quick. All right.
This is nice. It's a good fit. It's got a little flex fit on the inside.
Yeah. I love a good trucker hat,
Yeah.
So.
We appreciate it. Thank you. So how have things been going for you? I saw you were at Wrigley this past weekend, right?
Yeah, I was there this weekend. It was a good series. We lost the finale last night in extras, but overall it was a great series, I think, against the D-backs, and it was fun. I mean, crazy game on Friday, insane game on Friday. That's the first time I've ever seen that in all the major league games I saw. It was nutty for sure. But I'm glad we came out on top because that could have been bad if we lost that one.
Yeah.
Do you have a game that you remember that was even, you said you've never seen anything like that. What was the closest feeling to something like that? I mean, obviously Game 7 is okay. Regular season game. Did you ever experience anything close to it?
I don't know about a 16-run inning between both teams or whatever it was, and a 10-run eighth for the losing team, right? That took the lead. Now, we had some games where we came back late and won some games. One of the craziest ones at Wrigley that I remember was the ice game against the Atlanta Braves that we were down early. It was like 9-2 early, and we ended up coming back late in the game and winning that game. That was another crazy Cub game that I remember in regular season. But yeah, I've never seen anything like that on Friday. That was crazy.
I guess one that could rival the John Lester walk-off bunt game. You guys were down early in that game, and you came all the way back. I mean, you didn't give up 10 runs in one inning, but that was, I mean, Travis Wood catching the ball in left field, and then just, you know, the offense chipping away, and then just the crazy walk-off.
That is a good point. That was a nutty one too. Yeah, of course, when you have Lester, you go down to the clubhouse, you see Lester start getting batting gloves and a bat on late in the game. You're like, wait, you were in shorts in the first or second inning in here. And then all of a sudden he's putting his uni on, getting ready to go win the game for us with a bunt.
What's funny about that game is the Cubs Productions did like one of their breakdown videos of John like breaking down that at bat in that inning, and it was done in the most John Lester way possible with just I don't know how to really describe it other than that, because you just know how he is. He's just very like serious and
very matter of fact, John Lester for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite games from that season for sure.
We're going to talk to Ben about all the adversity the Cubs have faced on and off the field. I mean, heck, Friday is an example of it. How do you give up 10 runs and as a team not collapse? But I want to ask you one more thing, because I was looking up when we were getting ready for the show today, and it kept popping up on my Instagram. Today's 9 years since Jake Arrieta threw his second career no-hitter. But what else? What else happened that day, Ben Zobrist? In a 16-0 win against the Cincinnati Reds, what else might have happened that day? Do you remember?
I want to say Chris Bryant had a nutty game. Was that game in Cincinnati?
Well,
I can't remember.
Listen, Ben, I don't know. What you should remember is Ben Zobrist hit his first career Cubs home run. Second inning.
That game?
Yes, your batting average was low. That game, opposite field, home run. It got kind of the scoring kind of started a little bit. I think it made it 4-0. You had 3 hits in the game. You had a walk in the game, and your first career Cubs home run, overshadowed by one Jake Arrieta.
Gee, thanks, guys. I'm really glad we added that in. Appreciate you being willing to add that in via my recommendation. Thank you.
Yes. You don't even remember the home run, do you?
I don't remember. No, I don't remember that.
That's crazy.
But I do remember the last out of that game when it was going up, and I was like, I want to make sure somebody got it. Like, there's no way this ball's going to drop. And then, of course, Hayward catches the last one. So, right. But I could have fought him for it for sure in that moment.
Do you remember just like watching Arrieta and being a part of that on the field? When he was at his peak, there was a stretch where Jake Arrieta was not just unhittable. He was so dominant that baseball had never seen a stretch like that.
I do. It was a beautiful thing to watch. It was really poetry in motion with his leg kick and, this Adonis figure, but being able to carve on both sides of the plate, right? He could decide if he wanted to throw that 2-seamer back in or that backdoor slider cutter. I mean, it was really, really impressive when he was on. And those games, we just stood back in awe a lot of times, not having to do much because he's striking out a lot of guys.
He was incredible. Like I was saying, adversity, right? Mm-hmm. The Cubs have faced so much of it. They've had just top of the mountain moments in less than a month of baseball, and they've had some moments that have been just rock bottom low for some guys individually. And even as fans, games that just got away and you're like, oh, how did that game get away? Top of the list for struggles is to watch Justin Steele have to go through his surgery, Instagram photos. He's thankful. Before the injury, he had just posted 500 innings, right? And how thankful he was for 500 innings. How does someone like Justin Steele now, or in your case, how you did it, when you're going through adversity like that, what kind of tools can somebody use to help them get back to where they were?
Yeah, well, a lot of it depends on if a guy has had some sort of major injury in the past, because this is different. This is going to be different than anything else he's ever experienced because he's got to sit out for a much longer period of time, right? And that's I can't imagine. I never had to sit out for like a year and a half, basically. And that's what you're looking at when you have a surgery like this, right? So hopefully he can make it back by the end of the year next year and be good to go and help make a playoff push there next year. But it's such a difficult challenge to know at the very start of a year, here we go. I'm going to be watching the whole rest of this year and still be working back at the beginning of next year, a whole year from now. And I think one of the toughest things about injuries in general is just the fact that your routine changes. Everything about your everyday changes, whereas you're so used to this, and he's been doing it for so long in his career now. It's a big interruption to his normal routine. And so one of the most important things I think that he's going to have to do is probably find the new routine and the new normal very quickly. The faster you find that, the better it seems to be as far as a mental grind, because that's part of the mental grind of that situation is, okay, now that everything's changing, how quickly can I get into the right rehab routine as soon as I heal? What do I really need at this parts of the season? The other big thing is he's just removed from so much of the team, especially in this early part of the recovery from the injury, right? So he's going to miss several weeks, probably being with the team. And then as he starts his rehab, he'll be able to come back with the team, I'm sure, and be doing a lot of that in Chicago. But it's just you're just not on the road trips early on and all those types of things. So it's very important for him to get in a quick rehab routine whenever they can get him in that and get in a good rhythm and feel good about that. But also the people around him are a really important part of that too, to keep him positive and moving in thinking that, you know what, this is going to end up being good for my career in the long run. Because I'm sure there was that fear at the end of the year last year. When he was bothered by the same part of his elbow, I can't imagine what that would have been like. I haven't talked to him about that, but there's always that thing in the back of a pitcher's mind. Maybe, what if I have to get that? That's the one I don't want, but a lot of pitchers get it, and especially when they're coming around the ball like that. He's got that nice cutter, and you want to believe it's never going to happen, but it generally happens now with how much power these guys are putting behind the baseball.
You kind of mentioned it, like that fear that he might have felt. And I also thought of, it's a completely human response to something like that, to it at some point, probably right at the beginning, to be like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Like, this isn't fair. Why do I have to go through this? How important is it when you're going through the toughest times, whatever it might be, emotionally, physically, something at home? How important is it to turn that page and at some point stop feeling sorry and start focusing on the way back, which, I don't know, it might be the hardest part.
Yeah, I think for a lot of guys that are very mentally tough, the feeling sorry doesn't last very long because they just turn the page quickly. They're so used to turning the page when something bad happens that they can usually do it very quickly. And I hope that's how he's handling this right now. It sounds like that's the way he's handling it. So, but I do know that that's very difficult, especially for young athletes. And it's difficult for any of us that are older, that have never had a major injury, and it really interrupts everything. And you're going, man, I had this big trip planned, or I had this going on or that going on, and now I can't play in my normal league, or I can't do this. Physically, it's very frustrating, right? Because you have to have a lot of patience with your body. I remember times where I was injured and I had to think, okay, I got to let my body do what my body can do. I can't rush it, because when you rush things back, you end up extending how long you're injured, right? Because you re-injure it, or you don't give it the proper care that it needs as you're coming back from something. So there's a lot of physical patience that's necessary. But I think the mental side is, will I ever be able to get back to the way that I was before? Right? That's the trick mentally, is, okay, at the beginning, like I said, you're getting a new routine. You're like, okay, I got to get over that hump. Once you get over that, the hump is after you're getting close to coming back to 100%. Can I actually push it to 100%? And when can I push it to 100%? That's always a question that is a mental challenge to overcome. And that's coming down in the future for a guy like Justin. But that's all of us when we've had something interrupt our normal ability to produce at any level physically.
We're talking to World Series MVP Ben Zobrist, also the founder of Champion Forward, kind of helping teenage athletes, their coaches, their parents deal with emotion and stress and adversity and all those things in a more healthy way. Ben, can you hold on 1 second? We have to do a quick ad read to pay some bills. We're going to take you off screen so you don't have to look at us. Well, because I'm going to put on my readers, and it's not going to be pretty. I got to find them first of all, and we'll be right back. I do want to ask Ben, and he could think about this in this commercial break. Did you find the physical or mental aspect of overcoming adversity and injuries more difficult? We'll ask Ben that right after the break. But first, a word from our sponsors. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping, a place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer, a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. It's Illinois' favorite dispensary. Locations in the city, Wrigleyville and River North. Also, suburbs, Champaign, South Beloit, and more. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love. If you're a pro, they've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter the promo code CHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 and older or Illinois medical card holders. Shop savings to celebrate during the Jeep Celebration event at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. Now's your chance to score a great deal on your next vehicle. Head to Ray CDJR on Route 12 today to choose from their huge inventory of new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram vehicles. Right now, get up to $12,000 off MSRP on select new 2024 Jeep Wrangler models with a dealer discount, or you can lease the new 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport 4xE for only $129 a month. Plus, shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000, and with Ray's price promise, you can shop confidently with no add-ons, no hidden fees ever. The price you see is the price you pay. So check out our partner today. Shop one of the Chicago area's largest inventories. Find the right new vehicle for you. The team at Ray CDJR is the only one we recommend. So check out their Jeep Celebration event going on this month for huge savings on the Jeep Wrangler. For more information, check out their location on Route 12 in Fox Lake or online, raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963. Ben Zobrist is back. He didn't fall asleep during our ad reads. He's ready to go. He's
just kidding.
Ben, I saw, first of all, there's so many, we were talking about the highs and lows, and this is away from the Cubs, but I was heartbroken to see the Chris Bryant stuff, and that he's talking about a degenerative disc disease in his back now, and I think it was just today he said, I'm not retiring. He's not ready to go there. But I think he's been on the IL like 9 times since he joined the Rockies. How do you help, not specifically Chris Bryant, but when somebody's going through something, right? How do you help that person if you're a friend or a loved one or a coworker? What tools can we use to help the person that's going through it? So instead of what do they have to do, what can we do for them?
For sure. Well, yeah, because they're dealing with both physical and the mental challenges around that. I think the physical challenges are usually when they're doing rehab because there's pain involved and they're having to move through the painful movements and all that kind of stuff to try to get strength back and try to rehab things. But the mental side can be all day long, the whole rest of the day. You're watching everybody else out there winning games or losing games, and you're like, I need to be with them. I should be out there. I'm not out there. I think that takes a mental toll, and I'm sure KB, knowing the kind of teammate he is, he wishes he could be out there, right? He's wanting to be out there at every turn, and it makes it that much more frustrating when you have to sit out and you can't be out there trying to play your part in the action, But from a standpoint of those that are around anybody going through that, I think it's really important for the people around whoever's injured to be positive, to stay positive, to provide regular check-ins like, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? And if it's negative, to keep pushing, to keep not pushing back, but to keep redirecting into it's one step at a time. We're getting better every day. You can see this, this and this and this. And also to be able to overarching see this as a positive part of your career. Because I'm just trying to tell people that are going through whatever they're going through, you generally look at it like, if I'm not winning, I must be losing. And that's not always true. Sometimes when you're losing, you're winning, but you have to be able to take that and learn from it and grow with it as you're feeling like this is a loss. It may be a loss of a season, or it may be a loss of a movement that you had, but at the same time, it can be growth for your character. It can be growth for who you are in the long run. It may be a loss for a short period of time, but in the long term, it's going to benefit you. So the more you can start to think of even the setbacks as this is a way I'm going to grow and be even stronger down the road. I think that's the key. That's the real power of resilience. And for anybody that's around somebody going through that, it's your job to listen, say, I get it. This is difficult. I'm with you in it. Keep sharing it with me. And how can we keep in mind that overall, like, you're going to be better at the end of all this. You're going to be even stronger at the end of all this.
The way you just explained it, I feel like I have to ask if you have reached out to KB in the last couple of years. It's not even just this year. He's had a lot of injuries. What you said, nine times on the injured list.
On the injured list.
I'm. You don't have to share in a bunch of details. It's just more about, have you checked in on him in recent days or
not in recent days. I talked to him last year when he was playing at the beginning of the year last year, and he came into Chicago, and I just know how happy he was to be out there, getting back out there with his guys, and I also know this about KB. KB has a very strong home life. He has a lot of really great people around him, and he loves being with his family and his wife and kids. And I know that is going to benefit him during this period of time. I always worry more about the guys that aren't married, don't have kids, are all in baseball all the time. They don't have that balance around their life. Those are the guys, especially those are a lot of young guys too. And those are the guys that generally need a little bit more support coming around them. I'm not saying somebody like KB or Justin don't, because they have, a wife or family or whatever. But I am saying that you have to pay attention to that. The younger an athlete is, or the more isolated an athlete is toward just that sport or that activity. And then when that gets taken away, those that are around them, even if it's just a rehab person, finding the right rehab person sometimes can be the difference between coming back quick and healthy and stronger and staying rehabbing for a much, much longer time than you want them to be, right? Because that person is what's going in and out of their ear every day. Like, are they being positive? Are they helping them have a quality mindset? Because they're spending a lot of time with them on a daily basis, right? That's why I know the Cubs take great care to make sure that the rehab guys and the guys that are working with these guys are not only helping them on the physical side, but they're trying to help them be positive at the same time and paying attention to that side of it.
You're helping me transition to a different player now. Kyle in the chat asked, your thoughts on Nico Hoerner, who was coming off an injury coming into the season, spent the entire offseason basically rehabbing, and he's off to an insane start here in April, at least a start that I wasn't necessarily expecting because he rehabbed all offseason. So I'm curious your thoughts on, him moving forward this season, because guys will inevitably go through some form of a slump or whatever. But the fact that it feels like mentally he was as strong as he possibly could be to get to this point.
Well, yeah, Nico's just a very strong guy in general, physically, mentally, emotionally. He's a well, I think even you go back to the reports of when he was drafted, they knew what they were drafting in Nico Hoerner, right? And I remember talking to him as a young player when he just came over from camp, and he just has his head screwed on very straight. He knows. And I never worry about a guy like Nico figuring things out in the long run and figuring out how he can be the best version of himself. But I can tell you from anybody's standpoint, when they're healthier, they're feeling better. Those guys, like, they're going to be more effective because they don't have that thing lingering in the back of their mind. The more healthy you feel as a player, the less you're thinking about that is distracting you from, like, actually the the movement you want to make out on the field. I remember very clearly as a player being in moments where I just didn't feel 100%. What fans don't realize is there is a lot of players that play a lot of their career less than 100%. Like they might still even be producing the way that you're expecting them to produce. And there's things. Actually, one of my best years of my career, I had one of the worst injuries I was dealing with. And I think I was taking like these high-powered anti-inflammatories. They were definitely not over the counter. I forget what they were called. But like from the All-Star break on, I was like on these high-powered anti-inflams. And as soon as I got off, I'm telling you, as soon as the season was over, it was the season I hit like over 300 in my career, and maybe 2018. And the Cubs sent me to a hip doctor in Nashville, where I was one of the best like hip doctors, does all the hockey guys, baseball guys and stuff. And he's looking at my hip and he goes, "Yeah, it's not good. Like, you can manage it maybe for the last couple of years of your career as best as you can." And I was like, okay, like here we go, kind of a thing. And it's just a reminder that man, these guys are beating their bodies up, trying to do the best they can to be at 100%. And sometimes when they're not super effective, they might just not be. They're talking to the training staff, but they might not be saying anything because that can cause a big distraction for the team as well. Like you don't want to have to go and every day talk to the media about, "Oh, well, how's your hip doing today, Ben?" Well, I didn't want to talk about that. So I was like, what can I take to really like make sure that I can get to the end of the season, and then we'll deal with it, right? And then I'll be limping all off season until I can get to, the next season. So thankfully I got it cleared up over the course of the off season going into 2019, but it certainly is a challenge that most professional athletes deal with.
Well, it's just really impressive from Nico, because he played. We all knew that he played through an injury last season, but then to have to, he had surgery pretty early in the offseason. And from what the Cubs would tell us, he's, he didn't go to Japan. Like it just felt like it was a rehab process the entire year. And to see him kind of just pick up right where he was it's just incredibly impressive for someone like me who we've watched other guys, and you just went through a scenario yourself. It's these guys are different, man. Like I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, it's impressive, and it's also we can also get somebody like me can also get like to start to expect it. Okay, well, you just expect it to happen all the time because these guys are so good at what they do. But we have to remember that they're still human beings, and that's part of why I really wanted to talk to you guys, because I do think that there's such a human element of what these guys are dealing with on a regular basis that, injuries are a part of the game. Anytime you play the game of baseball long enough, you're going to deal with injuries. And the ability to handle that sometimes comes from experience, but sometimes if you've had success your entire career, and then all of a sudden something happens where you don't, that can be a real challenge to an athlete, and they've got to build that resilience in that moment.
I was going to ask you about perseverance, and in the moment, whether you're a youth athlete, a teenager, a professional athlete, when you go through that, it's very hard to look ahead, as you were kind of talking about with KB, like in the long run, I'm going to be better, or Steele, in the long run, I'll feel better. But what can perseverance teach all of us as we deal with stuff throughout our lives? Like, it's easy to look at afterwards, but when you're going through it, what can it teach us?
Yeah, I think we need to recognize that it's going to be overwhelming in the moment, and it's okay if it is overwhelming right now, because I remember feeling overwhelmed at the major league level, not just from injury, but sometimes early on from just effectiveness. I didn't feel like I was as effective as I could ever be in the minor leagues, and it took me a couple years to really bouncing up and down to really feel confident that, like, okay, now I know this league. Now I know how to hit these major league guys. I've made the adjustments, but it's the biggest jump ever to go from AAA to the big leagues, right? And we just had Matt Shaw get sent down, and that stinks for him. But at the same time, like, it happened to basically all of us, almost all of us. There's very few guys that get called up to the major leagues and never get sent back down to work on something, right? And so I remember my first few weeks in the major leagues, we were on a road trip out in Oakland, and Joe Madden, who was my manager even then as a rookie, comes up to me and he goes, "Zoe, I just want you to relax, man. Just relax, you know." And I'm like, he obviously could see that I wasn't, and he's like, "Listen, you just need to believe me when I tell you this. You're going to play in the major leagues for 10 years or more. Just trust me on that." And at the time, I had some self-doubt. I'm like, man, I hope this guy knows what he's talking about, right? But that's what you have to have, is people around you that are reminding you, yes, you're good enough. You're going to make the adjustments. It takes time. Be patient with it, but also keep working. Like, it's not the stats that got you there as much as the resilience and the work ethic. Remember that. So I tell kids that, look, you're not building stats right now. You have to build the resilience and the work ethic right now. If you build that, you have a shot at getting the stats. But you can't just expect stats to carry you, because there's going to be a time where those are not going to show up. And that's when the resilience and the work ethic has to.
Awesome. And I think that's true about a lot of things we do in life, right? Like sometimes you learn more from the struggles than you do, oh, I had a great day today. That's just the way it is. Sometimes you learn from bouncing back as much as you do from the other things. Ben, this has been awesome. I do have one more Cubs question, but we have to do an ad break. So I can either hold it for next week, which is okay, or next month. We can hold it. Or you have to sit through another 2 ad reads.
All right, I'll wait around. I'll drink some tea.
This guy's the greatest.
This guy.
He's the greatest. All right, it's a quick Cubs question. We're coming right back. But first, we're going to tell you about some of our great sponsors.
Lucy Nicotine. Luke, what is your favorite flavor?
All of them, Cody.
Of course it is. And they have different strengths. And let me tell you, the Friday game, Ben Zobrist knows he even might have needed some Lucy, because it was such a roller coaster. And it definitely would have been able to help you with your anxiety, your stress that you might have perhaps had. All right.
You were feeling good.
It is a great stress reliever out there if you're into this type of stuff. All right. So level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/CHGO and use promo code CHGO2025 to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code CHGO2025 to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print, Luke. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. This warning: this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Shady Rays, helping you get the right frame of mind with their premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays, an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product. Their sunglasses have durable frames, crystal clear optics, make them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. If your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by their lost and broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back. CHGO listeners and viewers, go to shadyrays.com. Save 35% on your polarized shades with the code CHGO. Over 300,000 people have rated Shady Rays 5 stars. Use the code CHGO today at shadyrays.com. All right, just a couple more minutes with World Series MVP Ben Zobrist, co-founder of Champion Forward, helping everyone, especially young athletes, their parents and coaches, deal with anxiety and all the expectations and everything that comes along with being a young athlete and even a professional athlete, as we've talked about. Ben, the Cubs have played the toughest schedule in all of baseball. Here they sit with all this adversity. Steele out for the year, Shaw down to AAA, Assad out at the beginning of the season, on and on and on. You can go through the things they've had to overcome. And one thing I've been impressed with the most is how they have bounced back from bad losses, injuries, all of those things. How impressed with you are the things that what I like to call the small things, but maybe they aren't. The base running, the patience at the plate, just the quote-unquote smaller things the Cubs are doing this year so far.
Well, it's really impressive. It really is. Given the way that the season started with the Japan series and all that kind of stuff, you could have seen it go in a different direction with the schedule and the situation. And I think that's a testament to all the work that the coaches have done to prep these guys as well. with trying to make sure that they're ready to go. They're recognizing that these first few games have not been easy, and they're not only ready, they're realizing it's a very, very important part of the season. Sometimes it's kind of a slow move into, okay, now we're in spring training. It can be sleepy sometimes. I remember one year we started off in Tampa Bay 0-6, the first 6 games of the year, and we could never recover. Like, you don't realize how important those first 10, 15 games are, because you're working from behind the whole rest of the year. And the other thing about it is you really start to believe, right? With every new group, you have to re-up on the belief in that particular group. And when you have those rough patches early on, it really matters how you come back from them. Because if those rough patches last a little while, you start to you're not sure if you can turn it around quickly, right? But when we've seen already this team be able to turn things around so fast, I definitely think it's helping that culture and that belief system in what this club is capable of. From the top all the way to, every guy on the roster. You can see what they're doing and how they're putting their piece into the winning equation here, and it's really been fun to watch.
The atmosphere at Wrigley Field on Friday, Cody was there in the bleachers, and the videos will show that he was out of his mind. I was watching the game on my phone, listening to it on the radio, and then on TV. All the emotions of it. What do you remember most about just the experience of Wrigley Field on game days like that? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of ballparks. You played all over the major leagues. You played in lots of ballparks. But what separates Wrigley when it's rocking from the other places?
Oh my gosh, it's just so electric. I mean, the life in the stadium is like nowhere else. From the buzz before the first pitch, I'm telling you, there's a buzz before the first pitch. Everybody's so excited, and you got the organ, and you got various things happening even before the first pitch, and then the team running out on the field is an incredible feeling. Unbelievable to be able to run out to your position and to feel the dirt and the grass on a day like that where it was warmer. The crowd is excited, everybody's amped, and my gosh, the roller coaster of that game. I mean, players are feeling that too. It's not the most fun win as a player, I'll tell you, because you're like, gosh, could we have just made that a little less exciting? That would have been nice, the emotions of the up and down in that moment. But also, it shows you how locked in those guys maintained throughout the course of that. Like, they weren't like, oh, great, here we go, and just, they're not getting down on themselves or on each other. They're like, all right, next pitch, next at bat, next guy up, and that's the type of thing that makes a winning team. From a fan standpoint, I was like everybody else up in the suite that day. I was like, super excited with the Happ home run, the grand slam and stuff. We're like, yeah, let's go. And then you're like, no, you're just like, no, this can't be happening. And then with the comeback in the bottom of the 8th, I was just like we were all high-fiving, hugging, it was unbelievable. Just with the few people that we had up in the suite we were in, I can't imagine being in the center of everything down below. But I mean, it didn't matter whether you were watching that game on TV or in the stadium right there. It was rocking. It was a roller coaster of a game. And honestly, that's what makes baseball fun, isn't it? You don't want a boring 1-0 game every game. It's nice to see from a defensive and a pitching standpoint, but sometimes those offensive juggernauts are really exciting to watch.
You see, I hope everybody in the chat and listening on podcast form or on the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, what he's telling you is that World Series MVP Ben Zobrist, for a few hours, became Cody Del Mendo. He was the fan that couldn't. And if you were here, Ben, you're not immune to this. I have my CHGO Cubs reality spray. Sometimes I got to cool people off a little bit. They get a little too excited. And so if you're in studio, just know that I've got the spray, and I'll cool anybody off with this. Got to keep everything.
Give me a little carrying spray, and I'll take it with me. And
that's better. Yeah, when it gets hot. Ben, thanks so much. We should work on this. I saw the pickleball tournament that I was mentioning earlier benefited Champion Forward. We got to throw something together like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Can you imagine the vibes of us playing pickleball for a fundraiser?
We're
going to work on this. We're going to work on it, Ben, between now and next month.
You better practice because,
I've never played.
That experience, I feel like I know the people to be with. I had a pickleball pro with me in that, so I'll be bringing her back.
Okay.
So,
well, I am a little worried at my age that I might end up in a rehab scenario that we've kind of been talking about potentially. Yeah. All right, Ben.
Don't worry, we got the support for you. You know, I'm sure Cody will support you.
Yes, of course. I do have a good inner circle. Hope you had a great Easter. Thanks for jumping on and spending all this time with us, and we'll see you next month. Okay. And the hats. Thank you.
Thanks again, Ben.
All right. Thanks, guys.
The great Ben Zobrist. He's so gracious with his time and what he's doing with Champion Forward after his playing days. Is probably as impactful or more impactful than even his playing career, which it helped end a 108-year drought.
Yeah. What I really love about us being able to get Ben Zobrist on here once a month this season is that he really, first time he came on, I asked about, have you had any conversations with Matt Shaw, this and that, but he's probably never going to give us those kinds of answers. But when it comes to talking about, what Chris Bryant's going through and the adversity that a lot of these guys are going through, and just from speaking from his own experience and stuff, it's so insightful because, like he said himself, like fans, a lot of fans just don't look at players like this. And honestly, that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother topic we could go off on. But the thing is I just think his insight is just so important, and for young athletes, but also just, it's kind of insightful for fans too, who, I mentioned Nico Horner because I think it's incredible that he's off to such a great start, considering he rehabbed the entire offseason, barely played any spring training games, and the guy is at least to this point is putting up one of his best seasons of his career when you consider the offensive side of baseball. And I did not expect that to happen. I expect him to be what we always expect of him, which is really great defensively, great bat to ball skills. But he's had big moments in this season already. And I mean, I think it just speaks to the determination and work ethic that he has, and the mental side as well of, putting all that behind him and pushing forward. And I think that's a lot of what Ben is pushing for all the young athletes and when they go through adversity and stuff. And I think Nico is a great example of someone who has done that.
I think he does a great job of bringing the human side of baseball and baseball players, no matter what level you're at, to an audience that may not think about that sometimes, right? We get irrationally angry and happy with athletes when they're doing stuff, but it's real easy because they're making lots of money at the professional level to forget that they're humans and they're going through stuff at home. They're going through stuff with teammates. They're going through stuff all over the place with family, and it's like, he does a great job when he talks about the Matt Shaw thing and that he was sent down. Matt Shaw can look at someone like PCA and say, look at the struggles PCA went through his first time up. And now you look at a guy who's top 10 in WAR. He's not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination, but you can see that up, down, just like the stock market. You can see the up, down, and hopefully eventual climb. It's not easy.
Yeah. On top of it, he did join us like 10 minutes early today.
Yeah, he joined early, which was awesome. And now I got to find the sweatshirt. Now I asked him for the hat. Now I got to go online and find the sweatshirt. so I can look like Ben. But we should maybe look into this pickleball because I think there's something there. A CHGO pickleball tournament for only the diehards and sickos that have signed up.
Let's go. I'm down.
I've never played.
I've played. I used to play in high school.
Pickleball?
It was like a thing we would do in physical education.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But now it's like the sport is itself.
So
it's
you
just
could teach
taken
me.
off. I don't remember any of the rules, to be honest, but I have played. I just hit the ball around.
The last time I was involved in something like trying to go to something like this or get something going was Darren Williams' dodgeball tournament in Utah with Kyle Korver, and a ball was thrown by a professional athlete straight to the side. My cameraman, Todd Williams, T-Dub, what's up? He was standing right next to me. I stepped out of the way to not get hit by the dodgeball at like 90 miles an hour, and T-Dub took one in the crotch. And the whole crowd went, oh. So I promise not to have that happen if we can pull off a pickleball tournament.
Credit to you for finding a way to include an Illini legend in the show.
There it is.
Without me, I didn't even have to do it. You did it.
My buddy does a great impression. D. Darren Luther.
Anyway.
All right. Ben Zobrist, we appreciate him and everything he's doing with Champion Forward. There is a Champion Forward podcast, by the way. If you're looking for, just some mental health advice on how you can help a teenager going through it, or maybe one of your players on your team, Champion Forward podcast is a good place to do it. Otherwise, Ben is going to, jump on with us hopefully like once a month to talk Cubs baseball and the emotional, physical side too. I forgot to ask him which was harder with injuries, the mental or the physical side.
I was waiting for you to do that.
I teased it and then I didn't do it. What a total failure.
You can ask next time.
Well, the good thing is I failed, but I can always bounce back.
That's true.
Something I learned today.
We can bounce back tomorrow whenever the Cubs bounce back. We talk about the win, and then obviously we have some Sandy Alcantara things to talk about.
Oh, yeah. He's not available right now.
According to USA Today, and then, other things. With post games back tomorrow.
Yeah, and we should mention again before we go, don't forget the great deal we've got May 3rd, Potawatomi Casino.
Yes.
$50 is the baseline level. That gets you $100 in casino play before the game. It gets you the lunch buffet, and you get to hang out and watch our pregame show live at the casino. Then we're going to go over to the game. You can add on to your package here at CHGO, and you can actually book a hotel room with us if you want. Not stay with us in the room, but, you can book at the same hotel.
Yes.
We'll be hanging out. And then also you can book a ticket to the game. We're going to sit in the 200 level for Cubs Brewers Saturday night, May 3rd in Milwaukee, and as we like to call it, Wrigley North.
Yes. And
I'll never call it whatever new stadium name they want to give it.
No, it's always
Never.
Wrigley North or Miller Park. That's what we will always call it. And if this team keeps playing well, vibes will be immaculate in Milwaukee, at least going into it. So, crossing my fingers, knocking on all the wood.
On all the wood.
I'm riding the wave, guys. I'm riding the wave. I understand Luke is going to spray me with the reality spray at some point.
Off. You're lucky I wasn't here Friday.
We're creeping a little bit closer every day to full on, just straight to Lulu and all of that. But I'm holding back a little bit, but I'm also enjoying the ride.
Chicago Vince wants to know if transportation's included. Not if you're from Chicago all the way to the Potawatomi Casino. We are trying to find out if we might be able to get some sort of, what do they call that? Like shuttle or something that goes from
the casino to the game.
This casino to the game, but we'll find out. Yeah. Not sure on that yet. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365. Thanks to Ben Zobrist. Thanks to you for checking on. Make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Cubs YouTube page.
Hit the like
Until
button.
Tomorrow and another win. Hit the like button and fly the W.